Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, the day just kind of disappears? I was there too, never getting anything done, constantly stressed, and wondering how I'd ever regain control of my time. And then I found 3 game-changing principles in this book right here that completely changed my approach to time management. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you what they are, why they're so powerful, and how they help me. So let's go ahead and get right into the first one. And honestly, this one felt kind of weird at first. The book suggested something that sounded absurd at first. Treat 12 weeks like an entire year. So instead of thinking I have 365 days to figure this out, I started thinking I have 84 days now. And suddenly every day actually mattered. That distant December deadline became this urgent March deadline that I couldn't ignore anymore. Honestly, I think my brain kind of hates long timelines. When I have 12 months for something, I usually end up tricking myself into thinking that I can start later on. But with 12 weeks, there's no hiding from that. So now what I do is I start by picking one thing that I want to accomplish, and I figure out what's actually realistic in 12 weeks. Usually it's way less than I initially think. Then I'll break it down into weekly chunks or weekly action items, and I'll pretend that 12 weeks is now like New Year's Eve. Everything has to be done at that point. One of the 12-week goals that I've set is posting 2 YouTube videos a week. So what I'll do is I'll put that into a 12-week plan, like all the action items that I need to take, then I'll run the experiment. And essentially this is quarterly planning. So 2 videos a week could be part of a larger goal of getting the channel monetized. It's not about micromanaging every hour, it's about giving yourself focus without the overwhelm of a year-long deadline. But urgency alone won't keep you moving forward, especially on the days that you feel like quitting. The real fuel comes from something that most people overlook. When I started my other YouTube channel, my goal was pretty basic. Get monetized, hit that 1,000 subscriber threshold, and start making some ad revenue. I eventually grew that channel to 85,000 subscribers, but after 6 years in, I was bored out of my friggin' mind. Making videos felt like a chore, and I almost quit. What I realized is that my why became too small and too comfortable. Getting monetized didn't require me to grow as a person or change anything about my life. So when things got hard, I had no reason to really push through. So I rewrote it. Build something that lets me work from anywhere in the world while actually helping people, delivering as much value as I possibly can. That felt a little bit more uncomfortable, but way more exciting. The book talks about if your reason for doing something doesn't make you a little bit nervous, it's probably not big enough to sustain when you want to quit. And trust me, if you do something for long enough, you're probably going to want to quit at some point. So what I do now is I start by writing down my goal, then I ask myself, if I achieve this, who do I become? I'll rewrite the goal to include that scarier version. Like instead of get 10,000 subscribers, it becomes become the kind of person who consistently creates valuable content that people actually want to share. I look at it every day and it guides my decision-making ability. But having a big vision isn't quite enough. You can still waste your days if your time gets hijacked by distractions. The real breakthrough came for me when I learned to control exactly how I spend my hours. Hustle culture had me thinking that working constantly was the answer to all my problems. I tried filling every hour with tasks, content creation, and answering emails, thinking that more work meant more progress. But instead, I just burned out and got less done. The book taught me to structure my day into 3 simple blocks: strategic blocks, buffer blocks, and breakout blocks. A strategic block is a 3-hour block a week focused only on my most important goal-related work. That's where your phone's off, there's no distractions, and this is just highly focused strategic work. A buffer block is a 2-hour block each week used for all the admin stuff, so that's emails, calls, and scheduling and things like that. And then you have your breakout block, which is a 3-hour block for rest and recovery. It's guilt-free time, completely away from work. Before, my work just expanded to fill whatever time I had available. Now I have actual boundaries so I can focus better during work time and actually rest during my rest time. So when I'm planning my week, I start by mapping out my strategic and breakout blocks first. That's my most protected time. All the reactive stuff gets contained to specific windows. And even if you can't control your whole day, you can start by just protecting 1 or 2 blocks a week. So start there. So for me, Tuesday mornings from 9 to 12 are my strategic blocks. That's whenever I do research, write scripts, edit YouTube videos, create thumbnails, and that's the stuff that actually grows my channel. And during that time, my phone's put away and set to do not disturb. Then I have a 30-minute buffer block each day, and that's whenever I batch all of my emails and respond to comments, schedule social media posts, and things like that. That time is really for all the necessary but not urgent stuff that used to interrupt my creative time throughout the week. And Sunday afternoons are my breakout blocks now. And I don't know about you, but for me, I used to always feel guilty about wasting time. But now I protect that rest time like it's the most important part of my week. Sometimes it's going on a walk, or other times it's just laying on the couch watching TV. It doesn't really matter as long as it's not work. The crazy part for me is that I'm getting more done per week with this strategy than I used to accomplish working scattered throughout entire days. The author actually teaches 6 principles and they all work together, But these 3 were the ones that gave me the biggest breakthrough. And if you start here, I think you'll start to see results a lot faster. But here's the reality. Just knowing these principles doesn't do anything. I had to actually try them, fail, and figure out what worked for my specific situation. And if you're like me and you struggle with actually implementing advice, I made this video for you to watch next. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next video.